my name is Terry Lee from Sweet Pea Papers and the Sweet Pea Papers Facebook group. This is video 9 in our series Teal Memories, and we're using a kit by Victoria Designs of the same name. Remember, if you are a member of the Sweet Pea Papers Facebook group, then you automatically get typed up version of every single step to make the book that you can use along with the videos for free. And then if you're new to the channel, hello, thank you for stopping by. And if you're not, make sure to, well, either way, actually, well, if you're not, welcome back. And then if you guys would do a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're not subscribed, that would really be great. Okay. What we're going to do in this video is the cover, and we're going to sew the signatures in. In the last video, I discussed how we ended up having to make a small center signature, and that I was going to put it in with elastic so that the, I guess I could put it this way, so that the coffee dyed papers could be replaced. Then I realized, because of the height of our book, we only made it 9 inches high and not 9.5, then we won't be able to run the elastic through because it will be too tight on the pages. All right, we would have the eyelet, so it wouldn't pull on the cover, but it would pull on the corners of the pages where the elastic was. So let's set this to the side, and we'll set our little 4 corners to the side. And so we're going to make the cover. You're going to need 3 pieces of cream colored cardstock. I use 65 pound. And you're going to glue 2 of them together and then set the 3rd one aside. We're going to glue them together on the long side. Try to overlap them the least amount possible. Because otherwise there's no long enough paper to do the whole thing. Well, let's look at this side. Okay, now we're going to, let me get my T-square. We're going to take and we're going to put the spine in the center. So we're going to glue it, obviously, but we want to put quite a bit of glue on this. You definitely don't want the spine to move. And that's a lot of glue for me, as you guys know. I'm going to put it right in the center. Okay. Now we're going to glue these on. Make sure we can't see through the paper. No. I probably should have scuffed this up a little bit. I didn't think about it. I do have a little bit of sandpaper. I need to get a sanding block, but you can also take it out on any concrete surface and just kind of scruff it up. And then we'll put this down. We want to leave a space for the book to open and close. We want it to be level. Okay, it's at 22 centimeters. It's just easier on this to measure in centimeters because they're smaller. Or there's more lines. I was getting a more precise measurement. So I decided to do this in a separate video than the other one because getting the signatures together ended up taking like 40 minutes. And even though I can do this fairly quickly off camera, it seems like on camera it takes me longer. Well, because I'm explaining it at the same time that I'm doing it, probably. That's probably why. Okay. Now we're going to trim the corners. I have too much stuff here. We're not going to be able to use this. Okay. And you're just going to go in at an angle, close to the point, or close to the corner, but not right up to it. You want to leave a little bit of space, and then back out again. We're going to have corners on this one. Ink pad out of the way so I don't end up with ink on something I don't want ink on. Then we're going to glue all 4 sides. First we want to kind of let the paper know what we want it to do. This is cardstock, so we'll give it a little fold. Looks like this came open. And then we're going to go along right up against where it goes up to the book. And then out and around. And then we're going to fold it up those edges. And we're just going to stand it up and then simply flip it over. And then smooth this all out. The crackling you hear is the paper and the glue. Let's check this side. Okay, same thing on this side. Another reason I went for 2 instead of 1 3/4 is just this morning it was just too early for me to deal with the math. I think 5/8 is 1 3/4 divided into 3, but or 2, and then you have to divide that in half. I put a little extra glue right there at that seam. And fold it up again, giving this glue kind of a chance to grab a little bit. Then we're just going to flip it up, flip it over. And you want to take your bone folder, the rounded one works better, and right where your seam is, I'm going to make a little groove where you want it to bend. Just to give it an idea. Well, that doesn't look like it wants to go. Guess I should have checked this first. This is mainly where you need to do it. You got that double thickness. Don't do it so hard that you don't tip it up like that, because you'll tear your paper. Okay, let's do the ends. And I left that corner a little too long. Actually, both of them. Our corner pieces will cover that, but try not to make a habit of going too far out. What happened was when I cut that scoop, I didn't cut close enough to the point, the corner of the cardboard. Okay, paper, this is my idea of what I want you to do. And then you flip it over. it makes the corner a little pointy when you do that. There's a way to kind of fold that under, but I've never really gotten very good at that, I'll admit. So after we do this, then we'll cover the middle, the spine on the inside. You want to make sure when you're using a cream color like this or white, something like that, make sure your hands are real clean. You don't want to leave pencil marks and such. Oh, I can see through that. Well, it's a good thing we're putting paper on it. Okay, this is 2 inches wide. So we want 2 inches plus 2 inches out. And we're not going to worry about adding this measurement in because a little bit off of 2 inches is going to be fine. So you don't need to go past 90 degrees. You just want it to close like a book's going to close. Well, I am going past, but the gap is a little bit big. Okay, so now we want to measure the center. So we need it to be 9 inches long. No, actually we need it to be the height of the paper. It doesn't go all the way to the top. Going to be 8.5. Duh. Those are 8.5 by 11s folded in half. Going to be 8.5. It's 8.25. 8.5. Take my cardboard trimmer out and put my paper trimmer blade back in. And then we need it to be 6 inches wide. Now, this is the one you really, really want to make sure that you glue correctly, because that's kind of far out, isn't it? If I take 1 inch off, that'll be a 1/2 inch on either side. It's just a little too wide. You want to make sure that you glue this part really, really well, because when you close the book, you don't want the paper to pucker up. Okay, so we're going to put glue on the paper. And then I'm going to put glue in here. Now, to avoid that, being able to see it through the paper, you want to, you could use 2 pieces of cardboard, glue the shiny sides together, and then you would have this on both sides. I just didn't think I would need a double cardboard, you know, center. Okay, now we want to leave this down a little bit from the top and the bottom, but even. I'm going to center the paper. And I'm going to make sure to spread that glue out. Sorry about that noise. And we want to do this. And this one we do want to do all the way up. Almost looks a little crooked. And you want to make sure all of this glue is holding right here. Definitely do not want it to bubble up. Okay. Now we're going to take our 2 pieces that are the inside covers. Oh, this piece is too tall. Okay, this is the mistake that I made. I made these papers a little bit shorter than the 8.5 by 11 and I forgot. So that's why I have this at the top and the bottom. Now, I could fix it by, well, we would still see the seam. I was going to say by lining the inside with a piece of 8.5 by 11 cut in half as a border. Let me see here. I don't have any printed paper, but I can put it as, you know, up here and then glue these into the center of it. and then that will all be even. And I think actually I am going to do that because it's going to bug me even though I'm keeping the book. I decided to keep this book as a reference book, and I'm going to make a different book for the gift. It's going to be, since there's no like real writing space or anything like that in this book, that's what I decided to do. So give me a couple minutes to cut that and I'll be right back. So, it was an easy fix, and I don't know why I didn't realize it was going to be so easy. I just printed out a 8.5 by 11 paper with a pattern on it. I went with this marble pattern this time instead, so that it would match on both sides. And then since we left this at 8.5, then obviously that's going to be the same height. Now, another thing I noticed was I had a miscut anyway. One of them was narrower than the other, and I'm not really sure how that managed to happen. But it did. So let's glue these in. I inked around here, and I should have inked the top of this and the bottom of this, but it's too late now. So it's the one thing I can't fix. If that's my only thing I can't fix, then I consider it a good day. And then you're going to want to leave a gap, you know, around this edge. You don't go all the way to the edge, even though you could, because the inner paper is so wide, that middle paper. Okay. This way there's no upside down or right side up. Okay, that's all we do for that. Okay, and we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. Yeah, we have no problems in the center. And then we'll sew the centers in. And remember, I'm just going to do one on camera, and then you can duplicate that for the other two. Try not to get your hair in the glue. Think that would be a bad start. Now, you won't see it, but I would know if these aren't equal distance away. And in fact, that one looks a little crooked. I wonder if I have enough time to move it still. Nope. Okay, so there's our pretty inside cover. Now we can do our outside covers. This is going to be pretty small. I'm wondering if I want to do some sort of stamping or something around it before I glue it on. Okay, so all you're going to do is, because I'm going to think about it, all you're going to do is center your paper and then glue it. But you see how small that is compared to the white. So I'm going to probably stamp around it. And then stamp on the spine. And then stamp around the edges on this one too. Okay? And it looks like I may have trouble gluing this one down. Glossy accents kind of wrinkled the paper because it was so thick. It was my bad. So we'll have to see. I may have to put this under a book before gluing it on anyway. So that's all you would do. You'd do it just like you did the inside covers. You would do the front covers. Then I have some flowers that I could decorate, you know, around the edges with, but I don't want it just a border, you know, of flowers. So, yeah. I was thinking about doing some in the opposite corners. That would cover up your little scroll thingy. And we didn't really use flowers anywhere else in the book. So, yeah, so I probably won't. The only thing I could have maybe done was opened up this page in the computer in an editing program and actually written Teal Memories on here and then printed it out with the title of the book already on there. You know, it could have been Teal and then Memories like that. There's a little piece of glossy accents right there. Okay, so we're going to hold these to the side for a minute until I decide what to do. And you probably won't see it until the flip through. But that's a front cover and that's the back cover. And so we're going to go ahead and, oh, we can't sew the signatures in until I stamp the center. Okay, I'm going to stamp these and then I'll be right back. So I came up with a solution. What I did was I cut 2 pieces of paper that were just like this, and I cut them 8 7/8 by 5 7/8. So 5 7/8 by 8 7/8. And because remember, this is 6 by 9, and that will leave just a little tiny border all the way around. You don't have to have the paper right up against the edge of this, and then that will work as a border behind, and then we'll put our cover pieces on over that. Now, I did discover a couple of little spots where it does kind of bubble in just a little bit, so I must have missed a couple spots with the glue. So that's an error that I can't fix. And so let's glue these on. Oh, I didn't ink them. Gosh darn it. And I thought I was all ready. So this way I don't have to take a chance on inking and not coming out right. I'm not the best inker in the world. I am definitely going to have to work on it. Keep your eye out for little pieces of your sponge flying everywhere. And just kind of blow them off the cover. Don't wipe them off. You could get little spots of ink where you don't want them. See, like that big piece right there. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing as we did on the inside. So just pretend like you're covering the inside again. So we're going to glue these on. And I don't mind tying it together that way. I don't mind not using, using the same, come on, glue. I don't mind using the same paper. You're not going to see that much of it anyway. But it will give us a nice border. So we're going to have a 16th. Showing all the way around. And that will give us a little bit of the cream color. You see, and then we'll put this on top of that. Problem solved. Yeah, this is that 1.5 inch spine that would definitely have not been enough. The 2, there's going to be a little extra room, but that's okay. I'd rather have a little extra room in the spine where you're sewing in than not enough. So I'm leaving all this in so that you don't freak out when you make a mistake. You can see we're still using the same cover. Even though we made a couple of mistakes, or I made a couple of mistakes, you guys are going to watch first and learn from my mistakes, right? But it is a good thing we're only sewing in one signature. We'd be out of time. Okay, so then we're going to glue this on the back. It's just that small amount. Showing all the way around. Okay. Then we'll just glue the front and the back covers on. Because I really want to cover this part with you. Okay, so we want to sew in 3 signatures. We've got a 2-inch wide space, so half is going to be 1 inch, and then a half and a half, and that will give us space for 3 signatures. So let's get our pencil out. Now, I don't really want to make any dark marks because you'll see them and it'll be difficult to erase them. So we're just going to make really light marks, and I'm going to use the crocodile and embroidery floss. You can use a thinner item and use your pokey tool if you want. Yeah, so we're going to go about 1 inch down. I'm just going to eyeball it here. And then you want to look at it on the insides of that indentation. So the middle of that would be here, and that's more than 1 inch. So the middle would be here. And this middle would be here. Now it's okay to draw the dots darker because the hole's going to be there and the hole will take it out. Okay? And we want to go 1 inch up from the bottom. Approximately. So here's our center, and the half of that, and half of that. That gives us those. Then I don't necessarily do the exact center for the one because it's easier to tell which way the book is right side up and upside down if you have, when you're sewing, if you have an offset center. So our center is going to be 4.5. And if we line it here, and we could do it right at 4.5, but I'm going to do it at 4. Move this over. We ended up not having to draw lines because of the easiness of the measurement. And you want to measure the 4 from the top of the book, not the other dot, like I almost did. And we're going to go over to these two. And this is where we're going to make the holes for sewing in the signatures. I'm going to put this on the smallest hole setting. Oops, that's the larger one. So that's the setting in the middle. It's not for setting the eyelets, and it's not the 3/16, it's the 1/8. Now we're going to just start punching holes. That one doesn't look exactly straight up and down. But it is there now. Alright. Easy as pie. Now we're going to take signature 1 and this is going to irritate the heck out of me. Okay. I just took the notebook off the back. I want these all to be pushed down in there as far as they'll go. And I'm going to open it in the center. Make sure everything's lined up. You know, your crease on all the pages. And then I clip one side on the top. And one side on the bottom. Wow. I have to go after that. Okay, then we're going to close this up. And this is the first signature. So you're going to line it up with the top and the bottom, because remember these are 8.5s. And then you're going to mark where you want to poke the holes. Okay. And you're going to open it up. Just drop some paper. Now I'm not going to go necessarily on the dot exactly, because what I want to do is go on the center line. Make sure nothing moves. So you would repeat that 2 more times for the other 2 signatures. And I would do it before you sew one in. But since we're going to have 3, I have one over far enough that I can do the other 2 without this one getting in the way. So let's go ahead and sew this first one in. But normally, you would mark the other 2 as well. Now see, this one's off the center just a little bit. That was the one I was having trouble seeing. So I've got some embroidery floss and thread. And this is a dull, well, it's not completely dull, but it's not like a sewing needle. You want 1, 2, 3 lengths, and then I always give it a little bit of thread. Some people put a little tip of glue on there to make it small enough to go through the hole, but this needle has a fairly large hole. I can get by with just getting it wet. Yes, I stuck it in my mouth. Okay, so we're going to take this, I'm going to go out through the middle on the first one. We're going to go back in through the top. And all the way down to the bottom. And out. I think I want this to be a little bit longer. Pull everything kind of tight. And then you're going to come back up through the middle on the other side of the thread. She says confidently. Everything's slid. Okay, then you're just going to tie a knot with 1 thread on one side, 1 thread on the other side. Now, since I used the crocodile, the hole's a little bit bigger, so I do make 3 or 4 knots just to make sure. Then I'll trim these later. I may put a charm or something on here. So I will wait to do that. Okay. And it looks like, technically, if I'd have glued the cover on and then done this, this would have been upside down because our smaller spine, or our smaller space is here. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that for the rest of them. But that's all there is to sewing it in. I don't know why I have trouble with it when I'm on camera, but I do usually. That one went good. So I'm going to call it a good one. And then you just do the 2 more, and then you'll be done with the inside of your book, unless you want to put a pocket or something across here. And then, yeah, you'll do your covers. Okay? You put your papers on, and then you'll be done, unless you want to do some other kind of, depending on what kit you're using, or papers, or patterns, or whatever. You may want to put, you know, flowers, or grunge it up, or make a cluster with a little bit of material, or something like that. I'm going to put this notebook back in the back here. Okay, how did that happen? I sewed it in backwards. I did. My center spread is on the outside now, which actually is fine, to tell you the truth, except for all our eyelets are facing the wrong way. So I will probably sew this back in again, because with this butterfly being directional, then yeah, see, I was resting on my laurels and thought I had done such a great job. And I sewed it in so good and tight too. Did such a good job. Except what happened was, when I laid it out flat to punch the holes, I left it that way when I folded it to sew it in. So keep this thread. Could probably use it for, you know, something smaller than what I meant to do. And what I now notice on this one is going to be backwards. Yeah, these double ones are going to be backwards. Because I punched them in wrong on the, when I put them on the pockets, or the cards that go in the pockets. So anyway, I wanted to sew it in like this, not with the centers on the outside, this on the outside. So I'm going to reclip it and then resew it. Okay, so that's going to be all for this video. I showed you how to sew it in, even though I sewed it in backwards. Happens to everybody at least once, if not more. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And then my needle. I can turn these cards over, but then there won't be any. I could put ephemera there. I know I don't have them clipped. And I've sewn them into the wrong holes before too. Anyway, okay, that's going to be it for this video. And the next video will be the flip through, and you'll get to see this all completed. I guess I better clip them. And that will be just a second for you and a day for me. Okay, bye-bye.